Welcome to Writing Advice with Anna. I'm Anna, and I am a fantasy writer pantser. So this is a new channel. So if you come from my main channel, this is a new channel. If you haven't come from my main channel, um, this is another channel. I have another channel. Anyway, this channel is only for writing advice that I will be giving to you. And while this first video is somewhat slightly unscripted, moving forward, I'm hoping to be a little bit more scripted because I'm not going to be reading off anything like I do in my main channel. I'm going to just be giving advice. So I might write something up beforehand and be reading it to you guys. But anyway, this one is going to be unscripted. So writing advice with Anna is where I will give my opinions. And please discuss nicely. I am just a fox. So, before you see anything about writing advice, I thought I would talk about two major, one of them is a problem, and the other one is a question that nobody seems to ask, because I looked it up and I didn't really get anything much useful. So there is a picture of an alpaca saying, "You shall not pass, paca." Because I feel like some writing advice is being gate kept. Now, I know that's a pretty big claim to make, but it's not a claim, it's an opinion. So sometimes I go to like Instagram. I'm on Instagram, by the way, if you want to look for me. I'm at Foxwood Author. One word, Foxwood Author, one word. Or you can find, I think I have a link in my YouTube profile thingy on my main channel. I don't know if I have it on this channel yet. I'll have to see. And sometimes I come across these accounts that give writing advice. That's all they do. They give writing advice, and I think, okay, let me look at this one. This one looks interesting. It's about crutch words. You know, crutch words like people use just, like she just passed her house 10 minutes ago. When you can say she passed her house 10 minutes ago, you have to put just in. Or some people, they use smirk a lot. I have smirk. My characters are smirking all over the place. So I would have to do a word search in Word of smirk and try to like get rid of some of them. Sometimes I have an incredible amount of smirks. Not smurfs, smirks. Okay. And I think, oh, this is an interesting article about crutch words. So I am going to go look at it. Look at this post. Read what it says in this post. And then I see it's behind a subscription wall. While the subscription is sometimes free, sometimes it's not behind an actual paywall, but it is behind a wall. I have to go to another website, or I have to, I can't just look at it on Instagram, is what I'm telling you. I just feel like it's being gate kept. I mean, or like I have to subscribe. This is the one that really gets me, because some of these accounts, they say, okay, you want the rest of this writing advice? Then subscribe to my newsletter. I'm like, I don't want to subscribe to a newsletter. I don't like newsletters. I really don't like newsletters. I don't even have my own newsletter because I really just kind of have a newsletter, I guess. Not really. It's just for my past beta readers. But I don't like newsletters. I don't like subscribing to them. I don't like getting all these emails from all these different people. Just because I wanted to know just this one answer to my one question, which is about crutch words, and I was interested. But now I have to subscribe to a newsletter. It's just not worth it to me. So then I feel like it's being gate kept from me. So what is gatekeeping? Before we go any further, gatekeeping is the activity of trying to control who gets particular resources, power, or opportunities, and who does not. This is from Cambridge Dictionary, okay? Gatekeeping. So focus on the part that says the activity of trying to control who gets particular resources. Now, the article on crutch words is a resource for writers. However, people who subscribe to the newsletter can get this resource. And they can get other resources too, like this one account. I mean, several accounts do this, but they have these workbooks that you have to subscribe to the newsletter so that they can email it to you. But now you're subscribed to the newsletter. You didn't want to subscribe to the newsletter. You wanted to just get the workbook or get a little more about crutch words at least. Or you have to download the workbook. You can't just get like a little bit of the workbook. You have to download it. Sometimes the downloading isn't free. Sometimes the downloading itself is behind a paywall. I'm like, writing advice is a resource for writers. It should be, shouldn't advice be available for everyone easily? I'm like, I feel like it's being gatekept. I'm not saying that these people are doing this thing, in any malicious way. I don't think they're doing it any malicious way. They're doing what everyone else is doing. But I feel like that writing advice or advice about anything really shouldn't be behind any wall, is what I'm saying. So usually these pieces of advice are from writers or editors who think they are qualified. I say who think they are qualified, not in a mean way or anything. I mean, there was a time when I thought I was qualified. I definitely wasn't, but I thought, oh, I am qualified to give this kind of advice or that kind of advice. Some of it was good, and some of it wasn't. A lot of it wasn't, actually. I actually purged a lot of articles, writing advice articles from my website, because they just weren't good. Weren't good anymore, and I wasn't going to keep them up. Even though they might have been getting some traction, I wasn't going to keep something up that was actually wrong. So anyway, so I talked about the social media accounts giving advice, links to their website. They tell you download this or buy my book instead of having the advice on the website. That's another thing that I've seen. It's not just about them not having it on their Instagram account or their Facebook page or whatever. You go to their website thinking, okay, they're going to have it on their website. No, download my book, subscribe to my newsletter, join my Patreon, behind the paywall, or whatever. I don't want to be joining all these, subscribing to all these, doing all this stuff. I just want the information right now, right here, and you're not giving it to me easily. So there's a wall. It feels like a wall to me. Maybe some people don't mind subscribing to a whole bunch of newsletters. I really don't like newsletters. If you can tell, I really don't like newsletters. They don't mind joining a Patreon. Hey, I have a Patreon, although the things that you pay for would be chapter snippets. We're sniffing stuff out today. Chapter snippets of my upcoming debut. I'm not speaking anymore. My upcoming debut YA fantasy novel, Between Roses. Chapter snippets before publication, character art, poetry, but other things like articles on books or blog articles, things like that, those are free to public. So the things that you would be actually paying for are things that you would actually be paying for if those things were published. You know what I mean? Also short stories, yes. Short stories, poetry, and book chapter snippets in character art is stuff that you would actually be like paying for from me if I would actually be selling this stuff as like merch and stuff like that. Anyway, join my Patreon. It's linked on my main channel. I need to link all this stuff on this channel my sub channel, I guess you could call it, alt channel, whatever. I don't want to do all this stuff. If it's stuff like writing advice, should be free for everybody. I feel like it shouldn't be behind anything, not any wall, anywhere. Don't you think so? I think so. That's my opinion. Anyway. So I actually found this article that says the newsletter embodies another level of gatekeeping. I even put a yellow line across it on the screen. I took a screenshot, put a yellow line across, and I pasted it on this slide. So if you can look at it right now. The title of the article is Email Newsletters, an Analysis of Content from 9 Top News Organizations. So this is about news organizations. But in the abstract, it said something very interesting. It said, the newsletter embodies another level of gatekeeping. Newsletters, gatekeeping. So it is, to some people, considered gatekeeping. I think so. Even if the subscription or whatever, even if doing it, like getting a newsletter subscription, even if it's free, it's still, you still need to get the subscription. It's still a wall. It's not like you see the newsletter right there on the website immediately. It's a wall of stuff. And sometimes even if you get the newsletter, you don't get the advice, writing advice on the newsletter. It says to download my book or join my Patreon or whatever. You still don't get the writing advice. This is where I start feeling like I'm being walled off here because of the things that I don't want to do, that I'm just not interested in doing. And for someone who's not interested in doing, people like me who are not interested in doing these things, we're walled off. It's being gatekept from us. So, yeah, behind a wall. This slide says behind a wall. Not necessarily a paywall, but it is a wall, and not all of us want to subscribe and download things all over the place. We just want advice, and we want it now. And why do we have to go through so many loops? I think, this is my opinion, my personal, N.L. Foxwood's personal opinion, okay? I think that any advice for like art, like creative writing, illustration, graphic design, crocheting, anything like that, advice. Okay, I'm not talking about learning this as a new skill, because learning a skill to eventually, actually, you know what? That's a little bit confusing. Okay, so creative writing, is that a skill? Because I'm thinking about art school. I've seen many videos of people who have been to art school, graduated or dropped out of art school, finding that art school has not been helpful in their artist journey. That the skills that they have picked up or learned is actually been after graduating and going off on their own. So I get that teaching a skill could be something that could be behind a paywall to an extent, but advice and skill, I think, are different things. Like giving advice in teaching a skill are different things. I don't know. Because I was just thinking about that. Because I think art, like creative writing, illustration, and all that stuff, advice for that should be accessible for everyone, if art is for everyone. But then again, you say writing is a career for some and a hobby for others. So if writing is a career for some, it would be a skill. But still, if you ask for advice, a skill would be something you would learn, you might pay to learn if you wanted to. But advice should be free, right? It should be accessible to everyone, right? Is it worth the hassle to download this and subscribe that and pay this and pay that? I just get annoyed. Not annoyed. I get frustrated and annoyed when I'm looking for some advice and it's like I have to pay for something, or I have to subscribe to a newsletter, or I have to sign up for something. Even though it might be free, it's still, I need to do something in order to get the other thing, right? So it's a wall. And it just bothers me that I can't just get it. Like, why are you gatekeeping this advice from me? And I think, wait, I think it's actually, the reason it's frustrating is because I can find this same advice available for free. And yet there are some people who are trying to profit off of it, or putting it behind a subscription, a newsletter. And then I go elsewhere and I get this advice for free. I mean, like, not just for free, but just right there. It's just right there on the website. I don't need to do anything. It's just there. But yet some other place I go to and I think, oh, they might have a different take on this piece of writing advice. I can't see it because it's behind the wall. So anyway, why am I talking about this at all? Before I get into that, I do want to say I understand it's a tactic if you want more subscribers to your newsletter. All writers looking for writing advice at some point in their writing advice career, okay? In their writing, not in the writing advice career, in their writing career, in their writing journey, all writers are looking for writing advice. So if you want more subscribers to your newsletter, you use this tactic. If you want more visits to your website, you use this tactic. If you want more followers somewhere, you use this as a tactic to get people to come to your place. You want people to download your book. So the wall, you just put up a wall and say, if you want to pass this wall, you need to do this and this and that. And people who really want it will do it. And then somehow they'll be stuck in a newsletter or whatever. Or they would just think, oh, it's just a newsletter. No big deal. Or they would think, oh, it's just a follow. Or oh, I'm just visiting this website. But that's what gets more traffic to the website and gets the website more noticed by the internet algorithm or whatever. And then that's when people look up writing advice. And that person's website is boop, right up the top. So I'm not saying that it's wrong to do this stuff, but it's not genuine, in my opinion. It's like a little bit sneaky. Advice should be easily available for everyone, I think. It also should not be exaggerated, like saying, oh, this is the best advice, or these are the most ultimate, golden, fantastical tips of writing advice that you have ever heard in your life. I mean, I'm exaggerating. I'm over-exaggerating. But you know what I mean. You've seen them. YouTube videos too. It's like the best writing advice, the top 10, the famous writers, writing advice. I mean, it's ridiculous. I know you need to do this for like search engine optimization and all that stuff. But I think, if we all work together, and be a little bit more genuine about writing advice and everything like that, we can even change the search engine optimization thing. We can change the algorithm ourselves. Maybe a big undertaking. I don't know. So, that being said, that I have problems with the current situation of offering writing advice. Let me just get into one thing here, which is advice versus rule. And this is to understand exactly what advice is. What exactly is writing advice? So, first, advice is an opinion. Keep that in mind. That someone offers you about what you should do or how you should act in a particular situation. This is an opinion. Advice is an opinion that someone offers you. Okay? A rule is an accepted principle or instruction that states the way things are or should be done and tells you what you are allowed or are not allowed to do. These are both definitions from the Cambridge Dictionary, okay, if you're wondering, and if you weren't looking at the screen. So, advice is an opinion. A rule is an accepted principle or instruction. It's very, very a strict thing. This is this, and that is that. That is what a rule is. Advice is opinion, My opinion. Okay, so let me get into a little bit of a thing. Okay, here's a bear, a picture of a bear. I enhanced the picture a little bit so you can tell that it's clearly a bear. Bear is saying salmon is good. So, in my opinion, you should eat it. Okay? Bear is giving advice that you should eat salmon because in his opinion, salmon is good. Now, that is his advice based on his opinion. His opinion is salmon is good, so his advice is that you should eat it. Okay? What is a rule would be like, you can't say this bear is a bear big brown. Grammar rules say you have to say a big brown bear. These rules are a must do. A bear big brown doesn't make sense. A big brown bear? Because you're describing the bear. First, the bear. What color of a bear is it? Is it a blue bear? Is it a pink bear? It's a brown bear. Well, how is it a tiny bear? Is it a ginormous bear? It's a big bear. So you have a big brown bear. I didn't explain that well. I'm not a grammar police person. If somebody wants to really explain, really get down to the nitty-gritties of the grammar and really explain why we have to say a big brown bear instead of a bear big brown, then please let me know in the comments. I'd welcome that. I seriously would welcome that. Please do it. I am not a grammar wordy person. I just know certain things work and certain things don't. Okay. So, I hope it's very clear that an piece of advice is an opinion. It's opinion. Opinions are subjective. In my opinion, in your opinion, that's subjective. In our opinion, subjective. And it's also, often I find opinion is based on personal experience. So, personally, Bear thought salmon is good. So personally, in his opinion, he's advising that you should eat it. Am I making sense? I hope I'm making sense. I hope this was a good analogy. I thought it was a good analogy. Anyway, so now we know that I think writing advice is being gatekept often. And that an advice is an opinion. That means writing advice is an opinion. It's an opinion based on someone's own personal experiences. So, in order to give a more genuine writing advice, not behind anything. You don't even have to subscribe to this channel if you don't want to. You can just get writing advice from me if you want to. It's free. It's all free. Okay? You don't even have to make an account on YouTube to watch this video, I'm sure. Okay? So, what to do? How to give writing advice in a better way? How can someone do that? And I looked up how to give writing advice. I looked up on Google how to give writing advice. I mean, surely someone's asked it, right? I couldn't find any resources, at least not on the first page. Maybe if I did more digging through the thousands of pages of Google, I would have found something, but I didn't find anything about how to give writing advice. I found a lot of articles giving writing advice, fiction, academic, whatever, but not how to give it, which I thought was pretty interesting. I feel like, there's a how-to for everything, but not how to give advice. I mean, hasn't anybody asked it? Nobody? So this is the things that I have not devised. I didn't devise anything, but, what do you say? How do you say it? How to give writing advice in a better way. 3 things that I've come up with. First, what you need to do is you need to evaluate yourself. You need to recall your newbie life, especially if you're giving advice to newbies. You need to be careful of your words, especially if you're an influential person, like you have a lot of followers. I would say if you have at least 20 followers on like Instagram or something, you're already potentially influential because you could influence those 20 people, right? But especially if you have like 1,000 or over maybe like 500, you'll be pretty influential. Okay. Why is this not moving? Come on. All right. So how do you evaluate? You need to ask yourself, what kind of writer am I? Am I a planner, a pantser? That's me. Or a planter? You need to figure out what is your typical day-to-day schedule of writing. You need to figure out if you're a morning person or a night owl. You need to figure out when you begin a story, what is the first thing you think about usually? When you're having writer's block, what is your remedy? What is something that you usually do? You need to think about all aspects of your own writing life in order to evaluate for this evaluation, okay? And what are you evaluating? Are you a good writer or a bad writer? That's not the kind of thing that you're evaluating. You're seeing what kind of writer you are. And so answer all these questions about yourself. Figure out all different aspects about your writing life. Do you carry around a notebook? Do you write in an app? Do you write on a computer? Do you write in a typewriter? Do you write in the morning? Do you write at night? Do you talk out loud when you're writing? Listen to music when you're writing? All the different things that make you the writer that you are, okay? And so once you figure that out, you'll be able to understand exactly what kind of advice that you can give, because knowing exactly what kind of writer you are means that your advice is based on your experiences as a writer. So all the things that you have experienced, you're basing your advice off of that, because those are the stuff that you know. You might actually also want to think about what kind of writer colleagues, friends are in your life, what kind of writers they are, because if you have heard many planners talking about how sticky notes help them, you might be able to suggest to a planner, why don't you try sticky notes, even though you yourself are a pantser. So you would be pulling from your knowledge, but you have to be careful with that, because you can't say all planners use sticky notes to help. You have to say some planners use sticky notes. Maybe that will help, like that. And so if you want to help newbies, now this is a problem I see on Facebook writing groups. These newbies come up and they ask newbie questions. How do I start writing a story? And the answers will be just start writing or whatever. But these people often are not newbies themselves anymore. You need to remember when you were a newbie and when you were struggling how to start a story, what are the remedies that you used? So you really have to recall your newbie life. It really helps to get into the shoes of that person. Can't just be throwing out advice like just start writing, because newbies, they can't just start writing. They don't even know what that even means. So the third thing is very difficult, maybe for some people, and also important too. Don't say should, must, the best, the worst, etc. So you should write every day, or you must follow these steps, or this is the best advice ever, or this is the worst thing you could do as a writer. Don't say that. You don't know that. You don't know. And you're just giving people weird ideas of things, because nothing is the best or the worst. That is very subjective. And if you're saying should, you can't say should, like who are you, right? Or must. I just think that it's problematic to give advice in that way. Like saying you should write every day. What about people who can't write every day? Then you make them feel bad, right? They might, some people might be like, oh, write every day. Yeah, sure, whatever you say, blah, 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 blah. But some people might be like, well, I really respect you as a writer, and you told me to write every day, but I can't. Does that mean that I can't be a writer? Some people will think like that. You can't think that people won't think like that. Some people do think like that. Some people can really be influenced by you, especially if you have a large following. You have the responsibilities to be careful of your words. I see this so much all over the place, not just with writers, but with any influencer. Like if they say something, their followers will either really believe them or really see them as problematic. You really need to have to be careful of your words if you have any amount of following. Somebody's going to be influenced. Somebody, even if you just have 20 people, somebody in there is going to be really influenced by you. Out of your knowledge, you're not going to really know, but somebody is going to be. So you should really think about what exactly you say. Okay, how you say it. Now this comes to the end of this video. It's probably pretty long, but it needed to be said. It needed to be said of where I am coming from with the writing advice articles that will follow, because I am basing these on my opinions. My opinions are based on my experiences and who I am as a writer. And I am just a fantasy writer pantser. Please, if you have anything to say, please discuss nicely. I'm open to all opinions and everything. I might have been talking quite strongly against newsletters and stuff, but I'm not against, like 100% against newsletters. I just don't like having all kinds of stuff in my email inbox. I don't have anything against people having newsletters. Nothing of that sort. I just feel like writing advice should be accessible, easily accessible to everyone. So my goal for this channel is to make writing advice genuine enough. Writing advice. Actual advice, which is an opinion. An opinion. Advice is an opinion of what you... Advice is an opinion. Okay? Hold on. Let me show you that thing one more time. Advice is an opinion that someone offers you about what you should do or how you should act in a particular situation. So it's an opinion. I don't know why this isn't moving. Okay. It's an opinion. Bear saying that salmon is good, that's his opinion. And based on his opinion, he is advising that you eat it. Do you like salmon? I like smoked salmon. It tastes really good with cream cheese on a bagel or something. Toast works too, but bagel is the best. Anyway, do I end these videos the same as I do on my main channel, or do I say something different? Hope you have a lovely day. Please leave your thoughts and nice discussions in the comments down below, and that's it. I'm just a fox.